Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Capital One, offering their premium travel card, Venture X. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. Details at CapitalOne.com. And listeners like you who donate to this NPR station.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners.
And Diversified Trust, an independent wealth management firm offering an integrated approach to the investment, trust, estate, and philanthropic needs of individuals, families, and institutions. DiversifiedTrust.com.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. We're opening the sports section today, talking about the business of pro sports in our fair city, from prospects of Major League Baseball and the WNBA to a check-in on the new Titan Stadium, maybe reading the tea leaves on who will coach the team in the new $2 billion dome. We'll also get a refresher on how precisely we as taxpayers are covering much of that. To get us going, though, Will General is here from Music City Baseball, which is the group behind the city's bid to bring the bigs to town. Will, welcome to This Is Nashville.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a longtime listener, first-time caller.
Wow, I like this. Well, you haven't called. You're right. And today we're not taking calls, but we are taking calls. You're always welcome to jump in the chat at the video stream. We stream video from the studio here at youtube.com/@WPLN. And Will even brought some visuals with him, so if you need more reason to click in with us, go there. But let me start here. When I was a kid growing up here, we certainly had the Nashville Sounds back at Greer. Briefly had the Nashville Cats, arena football. Now we've got football, hockey, soccer. Is there room for Major League Baseball?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we are firm believers that there is plenty of opportunity for baseball. I mean, for football to be successful here, for hockey to be successful here, for soccer to be successful here, baseball is actually the easy one out of all of it. This is a baseball town and a baseball region. I mean, with Vandy right around the corner, with the University of Tennessee, SEC baseball across this entire region, baseball is the easy one. And I think the nice thing about baseball is it fills those dog days of summer that those other sports really aren't there. I mean, obviously Nashville SC plays during the summer, but it's a very sparse schedule compared to baseball playing 162 games in 185 days.
Yeah.
It's that everyday activity that will be great for this city and great for fans of the city.
Well, you're wearing a Nashville Stars hat with a very cool logo, and I honestly didn't know that the folks working to bring a team here had already kind of decided that if they could, the intention was to give a nod to the Negro Leagues and the Nashville Stars who played here. You even have the president of the Negro League Museum as part of your board and the initiative. Who owns the Nashville Stars? Is that a thing you had to get permission to use?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting approach for an expansion or a relocation team to lean into brand and story this early on. But when you find a story that is that worth telling, it's worth investing in it. So the Nashville Stars were a Negro Leagues team. They played here in the 40s and the 50s. They played at Sulphur Dell, not too far away from where we are right now.
Which would be like just below the state capitol,
That's
right?
exactly right. Right in that location, right off Jefferson Street. So, for our North Nashville folks, this is the team and the Negro Leagues where they were playing right here in town. So we actually found this story by going to the library and looking at microfilm and microfiche, and we found two photos of this team. One of them is 4 of the original players that were a part of that team wearing Nashville Stars jerseys.
Wow.
And then the second
one. And you're holding up this photo, a clipping from, I don't know if it was the Tennessean or the Banner, but it, these guys leaning against their bats. It says.
Yep. So pretty iconic history here.
But there wasn't much evidence of the team, right?
This is the second piece of photographic evidence we have. This is the original barnstorming bus. So for those of you that aren't familiar, these Negro League teams didn't always have a place to play, and they were regularly on the road trying to find a field, trying to find a team, oftentimes outside of a barn, going to play there. They were eating their meals on these buses. They were sleeping on these buses. There were lots of places they weren't allowed in at that time. So we found these two pieces of evidence, and we called Bob Kendrick, the president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, based in Kansas City. For those who haven't been, make a reason to go. It is the stories of baseball that you haven't heard yet. And we said, look, we found this amazing story. What do you know? And he really said, I don't know a whole lot more than you do. which is an interesting thing for a guy who knows everything about it.
Right.
So we went on this mission to say, instead of just telling this story, let's build the future for the Nashville Stars. So not only was the Nashville Stars one of the teams that played under that moniker, but there was a team in St. Louis called the St. Louis Stars, the Philadelphia Stars. There was a Havana, Cuba Stars. So we aim to name the next Major League Baseball franchise after the Nashville Stars and all of the other Stars teams that played under that same name.
Wow. Are there still people who were related to those guys who played here in town?
Very much so. We know the 4 players and we know their families. And actually yesterday was one of the cooler moments since I've been in this job. But Sidney Bunch, who's photographed here in this photo here, his daughter and daughter-in-law, and his 2 grandsons, Sidney the 4th, one of them, were in our office yesterday, and they brought boxes of more information. We found more photos than these 2 that we knew we had. So we've got great relationships with these players right here and with many other people who played in the Negro Leagues from this city. We had Kim Prince of Prince's Hot Chicken in the office last week, 2 weeks ago. And she showed a picture of her grandfather who played in the Negro Leagues as well. So there's a deep baseball history, a deep black baseball history here in town. And we think it's worthwhile to tell that story.
So do you know at this point where a stadium might be built if needed?
That's really our job right now, is to pave the way for Major League Baseball to come here. And there are a few big things that we need to figure out. One of them being is, where do you build a future venue? And I intentionally say venue and not stadium or ballpark, because we think it will be used far more than just the 81 nights a year that you're playing home games. We think that we will be building the next greatest entertainment venue in this city and in this region. So we're working with Lincoln Property Company. They are one of the world's best developers out there. They're currently working with the Cleveland Browns on their new development out there. And it is their job and our job with them to identify the right location for that stadium. Then from there, it's designing what that venue looks like.
Is the idea to keep it close, if you can, into town, into, frankly, this, near-ish Sulphur Dell, North Nashville?
I think the idea is it has to be in Davidson, or it would be great to be in Davidson County, especially as I've described it with this world-class entertainment venue. We want this to be the place that sits right in between a Bridgestone Arena at 20 or so thousand and the new Nissan at 60 or so thousand. We think that there's a really important gap to fill there for entertainers that are looking for a bigger place that may play 2 shows over at a Bridgestone and maybe can't fill a Nissan.
I see. What's the most likely outcome here if there were a team? Would it be an expansion team or a relocation?
Yeah, we are fully focused on expansion at this point. The commissioner in Major League Baseball has been very open about wanting to add 2 new franchises. The commissioner was actually on WFAN up in New York just last week talking about expansion and adding 2 new franchises. So we are fully focused on that. The league has some things that they need to get through before we're talking about expansion or really moving in that direction. The collective bargaining agreement between the league and the Players Association expires at the end of this season, the end of 2026. So once they get through that, we really believe that expansion will be the hottest thing to talk about.
And who's emerging? Who would, there always needs to be a lead owner, if I understand correctly. Like, who would that be?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we take care of our business, we'll have a great collection of people that will be very interested. Our current investors, I mean, we have a group of 68 local investors, and Music City Baseball will act as that local ownership group. And if we do our job correctly, which we are well on our way to doing, which is identifying the real estate and developing what that venue will look like and building this world-class brand that is being worn by tens of thousands of people around the country and around the globe. I mean, this hat that you see being worn here, we went on sale in March of 2025. We have sold in 50 states, 10 non-U.S. countries, over $100,000 of merchandise for a team that doesn't quite exist yet. So,
or did exist at some point.
Did exist, and we hope to bring back.
Well, I hope that means good things for your all's future. If you're just tuning in, I'm Blake Farmer. This is Nashville. We're camped out in the sports pages today, starting with an update on Major League Baseball prospects with Will General, who works for the group, trying to bring a team to town. We're streaming at youtube.com/@WPLN if you need to get a glimpse of this hat on ahead. You can also join the chat there. What do you think we should name a new baseball team? Maybe you've been convinced of Nashville Stars. Let's keep Will here, but turn to the Titans and bring bring in Nate Rao of Axios. Welcome to This Is Nashville. Welcome back. I think you've been on the show before.
Yes.
Pre-me. And David Boclair of the Nashville Banner and the First Tenn, that's TENN podcast. Welcome to you.
Thank you, sir.
Nate, let's start the conversation off with something you reported on a couple days ago. Buried in all this discussion of who will serve as a new coach of the Titans, Pro Football Talk, not an NTAT I had heard of before, but wrote that the franchise led the league in an attendance drop this season with a 9% decrease. Is that just like what's expected when you only win 3 games?
Yeah, I think when you're at the bottom of your division multiple years in a row, you're going to see a little bit of attendance drop, and this is just that natural effect.
Yeah. Well, but it seems like a tough time. That's what comes to mind to me when you're building a $2 billion stadium and you can't fill the one you've got.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an ebb and flow to this. Obviously, it is bad timing. They're trying to sell season tickets to the next building, but I don't put a lot of stock in those, or too much. You don't want to put too much stock in that. I think the Titans fans have shown they'll show up for a winning team, and I think overall attendance has been solid. Now, a lot of that is buoyed by visiting fans coming in. We do see that at Titans games, but I don't think it rings the alarm bells. You just want to be winning, and you want your fans to show up.
Is that unique to Nashville that people from the other side really show out?
Well, you see it in these popular tourist destinations.
I see.
Las Vegas, I think you see a lot of visiting fans. Los Angeles.
Like good excuse to have a weekend trip.
Yeah. Come to Nashville, see the music scene in our restaurants, and then also want to check it out. I think there was a story about Bears fans drank all the domestic beer downtown. I know Packers fans have shown out before, so
you would know.
I would.
You would know. He's a Packers fan, folks. All right, David. Since Jeff Fisher left after the 2010 season, the Titans have kind of cycled through a bunch of head coaches. I think the count's at 5. Most only lasting a couple of seasons. They fired their last coach mid-season just now. Do they have a coaching problem, or is there some sort of something else going on, a culture problem?
Yeah, but first, that Chicago weekend that Nate referenced, the Blackhawks and Bears were in town the same weekend.
Don't just blame the Bears
And they
fans.
literally did. I knew somebody who was managing the downtown Demas at the time, and they literally ran out of beer that weekend.
It's hilarious that we're bringing this up because we actually mentioned this on yesterday's show that was about drinking and sports culture. So go ahead.
They have an ownership problem right now in that the owner doesn't seem to know exactly what she wants and doesn't realize what she has.
This is Amy Adams Strunk.
Amy Adams Strunk.
Who is second-generation owner. Bud Adams, her dad, died.
And she is repeating mistakes that her father made 40, 50 years ago. And they, Bud Adams went through a stretch where he was firing people left and right, and then finally settled in with a man named Bum Phillips in the late 70s, and they had a great run where they were in the AFC Championship game 2 years in a row. And then the year after that, inexplicably to a lot of people in Houston at the time, Bum Phillips was fired. And what happened was the next 5 years, the Houston Oilers had a pick in the top 10 overall in the draft. I mean, they went through a big funk.
Meaning they were so bad that they got an early pick.
And we're seeing the same thing now with the decision to fire Mike Vrabel a couple years ago, who anybody who has paid attention knew what a good coach he was, and you certainly see it
he's doing very
with
well
New
right
England
now,
this year.
Yeah.
And I think what the issue is we've seen it. Mike Vrabel and John Robinson stopped getting along. Amy picked sides, fired John Robinson, hired Rand Carthen.
Who was the general manager?
Rand Carthen and Mike Vrabel weren't exactly getting along. She picked sides again and fired Mike Vrabel. My sense is, watching her operate this franchise, is her sense of leadership is, I'm not afraid to fire somebody if I'm not happy. Whereas what she really needs to do when this is happening is get everybody in a room together, say, this is your job. This is what I expect from you. This is what you're going to do. This is your job. This is what I expect from you. This is what you're going to do. And you guys are going to figure out a way to make it work. This is what this franchise is about. I don't see any evidence of that from her. And these decisions of changing coaches and general managers almost yearly at this point has really set this team back.
Wow. Nate, is there any way to know who's kind of emerging as a top coaching prospect?
They're casting a really wide net, so I would say no is the answer to that.
Because there was news out of Pittsburgh yesterday, right? more coaches on the market.
Veteran coaches have been let go. I think they seem to be leaning toward a coach who has been a head coach before after what they just went through with Callahan, but who knows? We know what stability looks like here. We had Jeff Fisher for an extended period of time, contending teams. So just getting back to that, I guess, is the goal.
Yeah. David, the Nissan Stadium, for anybody who's driven by it lately, has really taken shape. Most expensive stadium being built right now, which is probably not surprising. Probably whatever the next one is will be the most expensive too. But, north of $2 billion. Certainly it's a public-private partnership, as they like to call it. But remind us, how much are the Titans putting in themselves to this?
The Titans are on the hook for a little more than half of this, plus any cost overruns ultimately. So they're putting a good chunk of it. And there's been reports. It's been a year or so ago now that Amy Adams Strunk is actually selling off some personal assets to help finance this thing herself. So, the challenge of building a stadium, and back to the early discussion about baseball, that's going to be a huge part of this equation too, because there was some pushback on building a new Nissan Stadium, and the difference there was you were asking people to imagine their life without something they've had for 25 years or so. And I think the vast majority of people say, I can't, the Titans have become part of the ritual of Nashville. The challenge for the Stars folks is they've got to get people to imagine spending this money to have something that they don't right now have. And I think that's a harder sell in some ways.
Well, we'll close it off here before we have to say goodbye to you. Is it challenging to have city leaders get serious about baseball when you've got football getting so much attention and this new stadium and such?
I think between the city and the state, there are so many people that are excited about bringing baseball here to town, and it really does present new opportunities for the city to grow in places that it hasn't been growing in the past. So yes, there are obviously difficult conversations to be had, but there's so much excitement and momentum behind it that we're very confident that we'll get to that finish line.
And last thing on the Titans, Nate, there's so much talk about this stadium allowing us to host a Super Bowl. Why is a single game you might host over the course of 10 years that important?
Well, the Super Bowl is the most watched sporting event in the world, right up there with the World Cup. So, there's a lot of prestige that comes with that. But I think I could see Nashville actually getting in the circuit of hosting more than just one, first of all. And second of all, it was just attracting those big events was one of the sales pitches for building the new building.
So you almost got to go for it. Well, we're going to say so long to Will General with Music City Baseball, and see you later to journalists David Boclair and Nate Rao, who'll be back as we wrap up on the cost of going to games and talk hockey and soccer just a bit. But up next, what happened with the WNBA bid and meeting the Playmakers? Stay with us. This is Nashville.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and the Higgins Firm, assisting clients with nursing home neglect and serious personal injury cases. Online at thehigginsfirm.com. And Davidson County Clerk's Office, with a reminder that most license plate renewals may be completed at area kiosk locations, including Bordeaux Library, Farmers Market, East Branch Library, and Bellevue. More at countyclerk.nashville.gov. And Belmont University's Master of Science in Applied Analytics, fully online and asynchronous, built to fit a professional schedule, designed to advance analytical skills and create impact across organizations. More at belmont.edu.
There are thousands of oil tankers sailing the high seas. It's nearly impossible to know who owns some of them.
And the reason that the true owner goes to such great lengths to be concealed is because often the true owner is the Kremlin.
It's part of Russia's strategy to evade international sanctions. Hear that story next time on The World.
This afternoon at 2 on 90.3 WPLN News.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. Pro sports have generally been the domain of dudes, but that's a gender barrier that is lowering bit by bit, and that trend is showing up in a big way locally next month when an organization called Playmakers launches in Nashville. It's a nonprofit that supports women on the field or in the front office and everywhere around sports. We've had a full line change here, so let me do some introductions here. Erin Ryder is professor in the Department of Sports Administration at Belmont University and co-founder of Playmakers. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Johari Matthews, executive executive director of One Community and the Titans Foundation on the board of Playmakers. Welcome to you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And Emma Mae Bradley, another co-founder and board chair. Welcome.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Well, we're streaming video at youtube.com/@WPLN. What women's sport would you like to see in Nashville? You can drop it in the chat. We'll work it into the conversation. Our producers will hit it over to me on Slack here. But before we get into talking Playmakers, let's talk basketball. And I hope, Erin, this is a question you might be able to answer. What happened to us getting a WNBA team?
It was a fantastic bid. It's an incredibly strong bid. The Haslams, Candace Parker, Michelle Kennedy, everyone behind it put together an incredible effort. It's not if, it's when. It was perhaps outbid money-wise, but also it was held against us that we don't have an NBA team here. And
really? But which says what? That, well, we're not sure if you've got basketball fans?
Tennessee is a basketball state, so we have basketball fans here. I think they were looking for the integration. I think they were looking for the partnerships. But we're looking at 2028. We're looking soon. It's going to happen. The Tennessee Summit is an incredible package, and it's one that we believe in.
And the Summit, I mean, I love the story behind that. You know, we were just talking about Nashville Stars and the harkening back to the Negro Leagues. The fact that it'd be named after Pat Summitt, maybe the most famous basketball figure in the state. Where did that come from?
They purposely thought about the foundation of basketball here in Nashville, and there is no basketball in Nashville or in Tennessee without Pat Summitt. And so I think by honoring her with that name, by honoring the state with the work that she's done and the legacy she's created, I think was really important. Yeah.
So you think the effort is not gone? It's just it's delayed.
That's right.
Would they play at Bridgestone?
That's right.
And is that the reason the Haslams would be involved? And this is Bill and Chrissy Haslam. Bill is in former governor of Tennessee, who is now majority owner of the Preds. It just works because that's kind of his spot now?
Absolutely, but they believe in the sport. They believe in women playing the sport. We also have Athletes Unlimited, which is a professional basketball league now playing their second season here in Nashville. So the proof is here. The audience is here. And what they'll be doing with the remodeling of Bridgestone will be building the locker rooms and giving the proper facilities that basketball would need. So they're planning for it.
I don't know about Athletes Unlimited.
Yeah. Athletes Unlimited is an incredible organization. It's an umbrella. Athletes Unlimited is the umbrella for softball, volleyball, and basketball. And women's basketball moved here last year from Texas. They play at Municipal Auditorium, and they will be tipping off February 4th. Which is National Girls and Women's in Sports Day, also Playmakers' Nashville birthday. And
first birthday.
That's right, our first birthday. And
you have an organization that doesn't exist until February 4th.
That's right. No, memberships launch. That's when memberships launch for us.
Well, let's talk about Playmakers generally. But Emma, are there other prospects for women teams in Nashville, like soccer, for instance?
Absolutely. Nashville was just part of an NWSL bid. Which is the National Women's Soccer League. And there are also other conversations going on about women's volleyball, other women's basketball leagues that are not the WNBA. There are multiple active conversations happening right now in Nashville about bringing professional women's sports to town in addition to Athletes Unlimited that's already here.
Yeah. Johari, what have you seen? I mean, you work for the Titans, which is obviously all men on the field there. But there is flag football that's gotten going with the NFL, and I guess the Titans have been supporting it in high schools. Like, what's going on there?
Correct. Yeah. So last year, Tennessee finally sanctioned girls flag football as a sport in
just
Tennessee.
Last year.
Yeah. So
you're saying TSSAA, like high school sports.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's been really incredible to see just the growth and how far that has expanded across our state. And we have some incredible female women athletes who are making great moves in girls flag. They're getting scholarships. They're doing all of the things and really showing up on the field. And so the Tennessee Titans have taken that as a way for us to expand our youth football and what we believe is a way for youth, girls, boys, young men, young women to get involved and fall in love with the sport. So we are also working with Metro Nashville Public Schools because we launched the first girls flag football program for Metro Nashville Public School and for the high schoolers, but we are now extending that to middle schoolers for their middle school athletic programs.
So this would be akin to like what the Nashville Predators have done over the course of decades to help develop their fan base. They almost have to be like, well, kids need to be playing this sport, otherwise they're not going to even know what's going on. Is that the idea?
Yeah, you make generational, lifelong fans of your team by getting them when they're kids, right? So we want to make sure that kids not only fall in love with the sport, but they're educated on it. They know how to play it in a safe, sportsman-like way. And so we are using that as our tool to really build that fan base, especially here in Tennessee. A lot of people, I'm from Nashville, and so I've known, I've been a fan of the Tennessee Titans all my life, but the Titans, in comparison to a lot of other NFL teams, we're pretty young. Mm-hmm. We're about almost 30 years old as a sports team. And so that's young compared to a Green Bay Packers or like a Chicago Bears who have been, generations and generations of fans. So we're taking a different approach of making sure that we are really speaking to the youth and really getting in on how we can spread flag football, and especially as this rise of women in sports, girls in sports, using girls' flag as a way, a vehicle to do that.
I'm Blake Farmer. This is Nashville. We're talking pro sports and focused on the prospect of women's sports. Erin, Emma, and Johari, all part of a new nonprofit launching next month called Playmakers, intended to support women throughout sports on the field or not. We're streaming video at YouTube. It's the WPLN page. We'd love for you to chime in the conversation there. Johari, what is it like as a woman to work in to call it male-dominated is sort of underselling it, to work in a man's world in the NFL?
I am very fortunate because I work in a space, working for the Tennessee Titans. We're owned by a woman, which is
one of the only, right?
Yeah, she's in a small group of women owners for NFL teams. And so that has been very fortunate and very exciting to just see that and be a part of that. And we have some incredible women who are leading the Tennessee Titans in a way that is unheard of and really just changing the landscape of the Titans. But overall, I think for women in sports, you really are paving your way. You're really trying to, it's one thing to even get your foot in the door in the sports industry. And so as women, if we're able to mentor and really think about how we can build up that next future, that next generation of women to keep that momentum going, that's something that I want to be a part of, which is what I love about Playmakers, is that it really is coaching, mentoring, and bringing up other young women and girls who want to get their foot in the door in the sports industry.
Yeah. Is Amy Adams Strunk involved?
She is. She knows very much about Playmakers Nashville, the Tennessee Titans.
That's your job.
That's my job. I have one job. That's my one job. So the Titans, we are on board. We were one of the first sports teams, professional sports teams to come on board and sponsor. So we're excited about it.
Well, you talk about mentoring folks, and I imagine there are a bunch of people who are looking at their careers and just don't consider professional sports to be a path. Like, did you think that was something for you?
Absolutely not. I will be honest, and I was never told or exposed to, hey, there's a career in sports that you could have. And so for me, I was introduced to it later on in my career. But now when I talk to students, college students, and we have a close relationship with students at Tennessee State University, we are always introducing them to the wide range of careers that make up the sports industry. Mm-hmm. Everyone always and only thinks about the players on the field or how can they support the player on the field. But there are all kinds of careers from, we need folks in the finance department, we need folks in legal, we need folks, on the business side of things, marketing, branding, all of these areas that require skilled, talent, committed people, individuals, and we want to make sure that women know about ways that they can be a part of this industry.
Well,
That's right.
MMA Bradley, did you find was it an intentional path toward pro sports?
Absolutely not. I grew up playing every sport under the sun and never once considered working in the sports industry. It just was never presented to me. And I grew up in a family with a father who was a cinematographer and a mother who was an actor. And so, I think you end up doing what you see and what you know. It wasn't until my very first job here in Nashville where I literally randomly ended up working for a sports magazine. And now it's 23 years later, and I've been in the world of sports for that long, all over the world.
It seems like Playmakers is about generally supporting women, like wherever they might fit in pro sports. But how much of it is actually about expanding pro sports for women in particular?
Absolutely. Right now at launch, we are absolutely focused on elevating women who are working in sports or who desire to work in sports. So that's ensuring that college-age women all over Middle Tennessee understand what could be for them and that we're helping to provide them access. It's about providing community for the amazing women that are here, to keep them here, to make sure that we're nurturing talent, providing mentorship. And then it's about personal and professional development for the women that are here, meeting them where they are. So what you need in college versus what you need when you've got 30 years experience, very different. That's our number one focus. And it is crucial that we play a role in ensuring that Nashville becomes a home and a welcome home for women playing sports professionally. And so we have got a bit of a dual path, but right now we are absolutely committed and focused on the women who are working here in the sports industry.
Yeah. Erin, it does seem tricky because you can only control your fate so much when it comes to having a marquee women franchise here in town.
Yeah, that's right. But we're working really diligently and hard on that. And I think we have such great partners with the NCVC, with the Sports Council, with the Metro Sports Authority. Everyone wants that. They want to bring women's sports here. We're looking at the 2031 Women's World Cup to bring here. We're looking at, like Emma said, NWSL, WNBA, more basketball, more volleyball. For us, LPGA, golf, right? We think of it in so many different areas where Nashville could be a beautiful home to so many incredible athletes. And then behind the scenes, all the incredible men and women that work for those organizations.
Well, Erin Ryder, Belmont professor, is going to stay with us as we end our hour. Emma Mae Bradley, board chair, co-founder of Playmakers, Johari Matthews, board member and executive director of One Community and the Titans Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll end our hour talking a little bit about hockey, a little soccer, and the cost to be a pro sports fan. It ain't cheap, folks. Stay with us. This is Nashville.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Amazon, proud sponsor of WPLN's daily show, This Is Nashville, engaging our differences so we can discover our unity. More on Amazon's community work at aboutamazon.com. And Goodwill of Middle Tennessee, providing training, upskilling, and job support services at no cost to participants, thanks to the generosity of donors and shoppers. Learn more at giveit2goodwill.org/donate. And Zeitlin Sotheby's International Realty Global Advisors, Missy Brower, Nan Speller, Jessica Averbush, and Stephanie Brooks, representing distinctive properties across Middle Tennessee. Listings available at Zeitlin.com.
Hey, I'm Ryan Van Velzer, managing editor of a new collaboration of 7 public media stations spread across Kentucky, Tennessee, and West Virginia. We're calling it the Appalachia Mid-South Newsroom. And like squares on a quilt, we're stitching together stories about our communities, the challenges we face, and the ways we come together to solve them. From the hills of North America's oldest mountain range to the banks of the Mississippi River, we'll bring you the voices of the people who call this place home.
Learn more about the Appalachian Mid-South Newsroom at WPLN.org.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. You know, maybe it's partly because it's been such a struggle to get people in the stands this season, but the Tennessee Titans offer the third most affordable game day experience in the NFL as calculated by Action Network. For a family of 4, the average cost is still $800, and that is before concessions and parking. We're talking about the state of pro sports in Music City. Erin Ryder is a professor of sports administration at Belmont. Why has it gotten so expensive to go to a pro ball game?
Dynamic ticket pricing has a big hand in that. So the more interest people show in a game or an event, the higher those prices are going. And that's, throughout any ticket application like Ticketmaster or Seats and whatnot. But what we've found is families are being priced out. And it's really disappointing because that's the grassroots efforts. That's the people that would buy season tickets, the ones that would commit, the ones that would stay. But an area where there are still affordable tickets is women's sports, right? You can see Athletes Unlimited play starting February for $20 a ticket. And it's an incredible night.
This is a municipal auditorium.
That's a municipal auditorium. Very family friendly. The athletes stay. They sign autographs. And I think that's an area where that is also still progressing and moving forward, right? If you want to go see the New York Liberty play basketball, you're going to pay. Same with the Valkyries or Vegas, the Aces. Those prices have gone up as well. But certainly they're considerate of what it takes to take a family to the game.
Yeah. Well, a reminder, we are streaming video at youtube.com/@WPLN if you'd like to watch today. What have you paid to go to a pro game here in Nashville? Let us know in the chat. Make our eyes pop. But really, we'd be very interested. We've got one comment from Andy Althoff who asks, what happens to the sounds if Major League Baseball grants an expansion team? Well, we may have somebody in the studio who could answer that. Let's bring back journalists Nate Raub, Axios, David Boclair, the Nashville Banner, and First Tenn podcast. I didn't intend to go back to baseball, but yeah, what happens to the sounds? David, you know?
Well, there are some legal issues related to that, and particularly the First Horizon Stadium right now that would have to be worked out. And another issue too is Cincinnati. The Cincinnati Reds and Atlanta Braves also have claims to TV rights in this market. I mean, there's a whole lot of moving parts to this that I sometimes think, going back to Nashville SC's expansion bid, Nashville SC, the way they navigated that process, and I mean, there were 11 cities working on expansion MLS franchises before Nashville got in. And Commissioner Don Garber even told Will Alexander and Bill Haggerty at the time, you're welcome to get involved, but you're probably not getting a franchise. And Nashville jumped everybody. It's not that easy. There's a lot that's going to have to be worked out with all of that, and the sounds are a part of that equation too.
And not to say to put you on the spot here with a quiz, but like, what would the issues? What would a legal issue be for the sounds?
Well, I mean.
Because they're not, they're a team associated with the Brewers, right?
Just recently cut its minor league system down dramatically, and I think it's 56 teams is the number now that they're paying, and it teams are placed in specific markets for a reason. They want them where they have them.
In other words, Major League Baseball is still part of that equation.
Yes, it's part of that equation.
And
as
they're like,
well,
that's where the sounds are. You're going to be competing with the sounds, basically.
Yeah. I mean, the sounds would obviously have to be relocated. And
really?
They wouldn't have.
Well, there's your answer. The sounds would have to be relocated.
Yeah. And there's the stadium question. I mean, that stadium's not paid off yet. The city took risk to build that stadium, and it's been a success. I mean, the development around it, they're adding cool stuff all the time, restaurants and shops, music venue.
Right.
And it's successful. Like, they lead the league in attendance. Like, so there are a lot of questions like that I have about the viability of a MLB bid. All the reasons why we make sense, I fully understand, but like the political opposition that they would get is real.
Yeah.
And so, I'm kind of in wait and see mode on that.
Says the guy with the Cubs hat on, okay? Let's talk about this affordability issue. I mean, Nate, are there concerted efforts to make pro sports attendance any more affordable?
Well, I think that our pro teams do a good job of having promotions to try to make things more affordable. We just went to a Preds game, and it was
your family?
My family of four, yes, and it was expensive, but it wasn't like cost prohibitive. I don't think we sat up in the 300 level. I know SC's in the same boat. I agree. Athletes Unlimited, that's a great opportunity to see pro basketball. Those are professional players, WNBA players on those rosters.
Yeah, and Erin, remind us what this is, because is this the league that's essentially so players don't have to go play in Europe in the off season? So these are these are the big-time WNBA players.
Yeah, we're talking about Sid Colson, TP, Dory Harrison, Izzy Harrison. There's amazing WNBA players that you can see, and every seat in the house is like a first row seat. It's a small venue where you're going to get really incredible access.
People love Municipal. It's still there. It's still
It
there.
sure is.
People overlook it, but it is still there, right next to Music City, the bus center. David, do ticket prices always correlate with attendance?
No, I don't think so. And it's interesting because I hear people talking about, the Titans' woes right now, and they're trying to sell tickets. My experience in Nashville is when that stadium opens, people are going to be interested in seeing the stadium.
It's new.
It's new. They're going to, that's what happened in '99. There wasn't a lot of love for the Tennessee Oilers for 2 years, but as soon as they threw open the gates to Nissan Stadium, people filled that place, and it actually had a beneficial effect on the team, I think, and
because they couldn't fill up Vanderbilt Stadium at the time.
Exactly,
if I recall.
and the Liberty Bowl the year before that. So there's reason to believe that
you build it, they'll come.
People will come initially, but the Nashville is a little different as a pro sports market. For years, I heard from Predators folks way up in management talking about how the business model needs to be 65% of your season ticket sales should be corporate entities and 35%, Jack and Jill fan or whatever. And that Nashville for many, many years was the opposite of that. And people were saying, I need to teach folks in this market how to use their money. And I thought, I don't know. People really don't want to, be told how to spend their money.
Let me just make sure I'm tracking with you. You're saying that companies here were generally not as likely to buy season tickets as in other cities.
Correct.
Where you'd have WPLN has our seats. We don't, by the way.
Yes, and where that changed was when Jeff Kogan was hired as CEO and Sean Henry as COO. And I asked Jeff Kogan the question specifically, and he said, I don't care who's buying the tickets as long as they're in the seats. And he saw those numbers too and leaned into the fact that, okay, if we're not appealing to the corporate entity, let's go after this Jack and Jill fan as hard as we can. And they had a lot of success. And it finally turned, actually, when the Preds made their Stanley Cup run in 2017. And then everybody sort of got behind it. And people I know who have had season tickets in the lower bowl forever say it's not the same down there as it used to be. And you don't see as many kids down in the lower levels.
Because they're
and things like that.
corporate-owned tickets.
Now they're corporate-owned tickets, and they give them the clients, or they entertain when people are in town for business with them or things like that.
Yeah. Well, on the Titan Stadium front, I know some of those Jack and Jill fans who had season tickets that were reasonably affordable, and the move to the new stadium, they're like, this too rich for my blood. I can't afford it. Nate, are they seeing, the kind of season ticket purchases they need to pay for this thing?
They're not releasing numbers. I think as they've released some of these packages in blocks, they've seen some of the sales come in as expected, or even a little bit better than expected. I know PSL's helped fund the original stadium. It's a typical practice. You pay a big fee up front for the right to buy your
permanent seat license. That was things were.
Yes, personal seat
license.
Or permanent. It's one of those. It goes. It depends on which city you're in. Yeah.
Okay.
But it guarantees you the same seats.
Yeah. But you got, in other words, to move to the new stadium to keep your tickets, you were going to have a big upfront fee and then probably pay more for your tickets.
Right, and then you're buying the tickets each year, but you're guaranteed the same seats in exchange for that. So that's what you're paying for.
If you're just tuning in, this is Nashville. I'm Blake Farmer. We're talking pro sports in Music City. David, Nashville Soccer Club, Nashville SC, still seems somewhat more affordable than like Preds and Titans games. But is that just like a matter of time until it's on par with other pro sports?
I think that's probably MLS is still in a growing phase. I think what you see with Nashville SC, they built the biggest soccer specific stadium in the country. The fact that they can fill it up will inspire others, I think, to try and match or exceed what they've done. As long as though these stadiums are a little smaller and and they're not playing in the 70,000, except outside of Atlanta where they play in the Georgia Dome. But I think it's the state of soccer, right? It doesn't have quite the interest level. Yeah. So as long as people aren't lining up to get in that stadium, prices will stay, relatively speaking, a little more affordable.
Erin, is that what you see kind of when you're kind of looking, studying this kind of issue?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll look at attendance records. We'll look at, what people have been, previously paying history-wise. But SC is a good one. I mean, this year, their run for the playoffs, those tickets started getting quite expensive. The Messi games, those Miami games became really, really expensive, and they were selling out. But certainly, it was based on want and need, and that kind of drove those prices up. But certainly, the MLS is in a league of its own when it comes to tickets. Same with the NWSL. But on the grassroots level, I think, like we said, Nashville does a really nice job. Titans, Preds, Nashville SC, to keep prices pretty reasonable for the community.
Well, let's work in a couple more newsy items before we close here. The Predators organization, has been pretty successful over the last few decades, kind of turning this southern town into a place where people at least know something about hockey. They've got partnerships in Antioch, Bellevue, Clarksville with Ford Ice Arenas. Now we see they're trying to take over the ice at Centennial Sportsplex. Nate, do we know if that's a done deal?
I believe there's one more council vote before that's done, but it passed the all-important second reading successfully on the Metro Council, right. So I think it's on track. And that's really about, one, the Preds have said we're going to guarantee the operations stay the same. So the
Preds have practiced there since the beginning, right?
If you go to the Sportsplex, I know someone said like the bathroom facilities are like you're in a county jail. Like they needed to upgrade.
I see. And it's like, who's going to pay for this, the city or someone else?
And the Preds are paying for it in exchange for a long-term lease to operate it. They got made fun of, I think, by some visiting teams for their facility. So you could see why they needed an upgrade. Yeah. And they've been successful at those community ice rinks in Antioch and Bellevue. I believe they have one in Clarksville.
Right.
They do, yeah.
Well, the Nashville SC owner John Ingram is leading the charge to ban racing from the fairgrounds, where the team stadium is right there next to the Speedway. David, why can they not coexist?
Space. The upgrades that are necessary to get NASCAR racing, the upper levels of NASCAR racing back at the Speedway are going to crowd the stadium. And
you're saying they can't. There's not enough space for them to expand the Speedway like they want to.
Exactly. That's the biggest issue. I think Nashville SC would actually like to expand something at some point out there. Probably they probably have designs on some extra space at the fairgrounds if it were to ever open up, and because certainly it's not an issue of we need dates or maybe it is. Maybe there's something to the fact that Nashville doesn't get as many Saturday night games as it wants if there's racing.
Oh, they wouldn't want to have racing and soccer at the same time.
It doesn't seem like there's that much. It doesn't seem to me like it's that, but maybe that's part of it. I don't know that.
Nate, do you have any insight?
Well, I think also at Geodis, booking concerts is a big part of their business. The racetrack facility would be a really similar size, so there's a little bit of fear of competition there.
You're saying if they expanded the racetrack, it could become a venue that Geodis would actually have to compete with for a concert, putting on a concert.
I think that's the fear from a little bit from the soccer side.
I find it interesting that former Alabama football coach Nick Saban is now joining the ownership group of the Preds, which is led, as we've talked about, by Governor Bill Haslam now. Erin, why would Nick Saban get involved in hockey in Nashville?
Everyone's diversifying. I mean, you need a real diverse portfolio.
He's got his car dealerships, and
That's right. I think the expansion that the Preds have ongoing is going to, and the way that they're thinking about the team, the growth of the team, I think it's really valuable. I think it's going to be a competitive team in the league for years now, and I think he's someone that sees that.
Yeah. What is the value in having like marquee names like that, David?
Well, I think it gets people excited. I mean, we're here talking
about Nick Saban, yeah.
And it should be pointed out, he actually connected with Bill Haslam over the bid for a WNBA team, and when that was unsuccessful, apparently they liked each other, they got along. Bill Haslam recognized this is Nick Saban. If I have him in my universe, I probably shouldn't let him go. So they found a way to get him involved in the Predators deal now. And I found Saban's comments really interesting, where he said, I'm not going to be able to tell any of these people anything about hockey, but his ideas of culture and leadership and a championship mindset and all that, it'll be really fascinating to me to see, because I assume he's basically just going to be sort of an advisor to Haslam in that regard, saying, I'm not seeing the players respond to the coach, or I'm not, your training room needs to be completely different. That, there's things that maybe we'll see, maybe that won't be obvious to us, but I assume that's the role he's going to be playing.
Can you believe just how far that franchise has come from the days they could, I don't know, the attendance was laughable almost, to now, being a place that, is packed out.
I wouldn't say it was laughable. They always did pretty well getting people in the building. But one of the most important, as we get to the end of this hour, one of the most important moments in this town's sports history, and you got to give him credit, goes to David Freeman, who put together the local ownership group. He's kind of been vilified by members of that group in the years since, and his shares and his impact have been lessened. But he was the one, when Craig Leopold was talking about selling the team and it looked like maybe it would be relocated to Hamilton, Ontario, David Freeman had the thought that if Nashville loses this team, people will always look at Nashville as a city that couldn't keep a pro sports franchise. And that was his motivation to put together the local ownership group, was to say, this will be bad for Nashville on a lot of levels beyond just sports. And his decision to do that and keep the team here, make sure the team stayed here, we wouldn't be talking about Major League Soccer. We wouldn't be talking about trying to get women's sports into this town. None of that would have happened without David Freeman's sense of, we can't let this team go.
A guy who really didn't have the wherewithal to own the team,
Right.
but said somebody's got to step in here. Erin, you second that?
Yeah, absolutely. It was foundational. I think seeing the success of the Titans and the Preds has built foundationally what we can now build off of, right? We have a soccer team. We have the ability to have professional women's basketball. We're looking at other organizations coming in, and it's the success of that, and also the consistency, right? People want to see what it looks like when a sports city builds and what those pro teams look like.
Well, thank you so much for being here. David Boclair, the Nashville Banner, Nate Ralph, Axios, Erin Ryder at Belmont. Thanks for talking pro sports. Please come back sometime.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you for tuning in this hour, however you were listening, watching, wherever. This is Nashville's a production of Nashville Public Radio. If you missed yesterday's episode about drying out in a drinking town, it's a pretty good one. Did you know Meharry Medical College owns the U.S. trademark for Dry January? We also got a taste of complex NA options at Killjoy. Phrases like back of the tongue and fruity notes were used. Listen in the podcast feed or at thisisnashville.org. Today's episode was produced by Mary Mancini, directed by Tasha A.F. Limley, our board operator, Liv Lombardi. The masterminds of that theme music are LaRange and Namir Blade. The conversation doesn't have to end. You can comment, tell us what you want to hear on the show by leaving us a message at 615-751-2500. You can also find us on Instagram. Got video of something that is quintessential Nashville, maybe a unicycle rolling through East Nashville or a group of cowboy hat-clad bachelorettes at the airport. Send it our way so we can spread the joy. This is Nashville. I'm Blake Farmer. Go in peace.
Make a habit of giving to WPLN. It's going to be the easiest new habit to form when you set up a sustaining membership and your gift happens automatically each